Mayor, do have to get back to New York City. Would you have time for a few brief questions, just from the press corps? Yeah. And I know we have a few reporters here. Yes.
Yes, this is Michael Voss of theexaminer.com. Just a quick question for Mr. Lauder. How do you feel about Mr. I'm a little flustered at the moment. How do you feel about the business positions and the economic positions of George Phillips?
I wasn't coming here to speak about that, but I will speak about the fact that his positions, all the ones I know, are extremely positive for business. And one of the things, the critical thing is, business is about employment. And I think that the more we can do to encourage business here in New York State, the more employment we have. You are lucky in this area. It's a lower unemployment than other areas, but it's still way, way, way too low. And everything we can do to encourage business helps. And it's really something that I look at and I say, George Phillips understands what has to be done. And I think that it's a question of lowering taxes, making the atmosphere for business much better. And I'm happy to support George Phillips in that. Liz and she, I don't think understands.
Thank you.
Other questions? Yes, sir.
Keith Goldberg with the Times Herald Record with a question for Mr. Koch.
Get a little louder because I'm a little...
Okay. You spent most of your political career in New York City, and recently you focused your efforts on state politics in Albany. I'm just curious why you've decided to enter into a federal congressional race 60 miles north of New York City.
Well, there are two reasons I can give you. First is, I don't know whether you know, you're quite young. I was a member of Congress for 9 years. I have a deep...
He wasn't born there.
I have a deep interest in the federal government. What is interesting is that for me, taking on Islamic terrorism is one of the most important issues in America. For that reason, even though I'm a proud Democrat, in 2004, I crossed party lines and supported George Bush because I didn't believe at that time that the Democratic Party or John Kerry, the Democratic candidate, understood the dangers of the Islamic terrorists to the extent that George Bush did. And I was pilloried by lots of people. What do I care? I do what I think is right, and I have no regrets, even though I said at the time I didn't agree with George Bush on a single domestic issue. Now, I supported, and I continue to support President Obama, and he called me when he was running and asked me to go to Florida to speak to the Jewish community on his behalf, and I did. That's my interest in federal politics. Now, I want to say about the other issue. I also formed, and I think you were suggesting about it, New York uprising relating to changing the dysfunctional state legislature. One of the pledges that we asked of the members of Congress was that they would support impartial redistricting. Maurice Hinchey refuses. He refuses. He likes gerrymanders. George has signed the pledge. And that's why
Just a quick follow-up. So Maurice Hinchey has not signed your pledge, and George Phillips has.
yes.
Is that in fact the larger reason why you were?
Well, the largest reason, although I don't have to put them in opposition to one another, they're both good reasons. But I believe that when you're talking about the salvation, the protection of the community in Israel, with now I think about 6 million Jews. And there's a guy out there who's the president of Iran who wants to kill them, who wants to explode a nuclear bomb to kill them. You want every member of Congress to say, this is unacceptable. When the people in Gaza want to kill every Jew and expel them from Israel, that's part of the Hamas covenant, that every Jew who entered Israel from 1917 to date will be expelled when they come to power. That's their covenant. And for Maurice Hinchey to sign with, I think, 53 other members of Congress, the other majority, the vast majority, refused to sign it, a pro-Hamas resolution is unacceptable. And that's why I want to kick him out.
So does that mean that you will also endorse opponents of any other
Depends on whether I believe them. I believe George.
Yes.
We've studied the votes, the records. There's very few individuals that have as bad of record on Israel as Maurice Hinchey. And we're talking about a handful of members of Congress on some of these votes here that Maurice Hinchey has cast. Just an analogy that I got from Tom Lantos, a Holocaust survivor, a liberal Democrat member of Congress who I worked with his staff. My boss, Chris Smith, worked with him carefully on Israel issues, human rights issues. Imagine for a moment if New Paltz, there was terrorists attacking Newburgh here from New Paltz. What would we do? Would we fight back? Would we build security fences? Would we have a blockade of the river if we needed to? Absolutely. We would do whatever we could to protect our families, to protect our children. Maurice Hinchey's record is simply unacceptable for Americans. It's unacceptable for people who care about Israel. We have 6 million Jewish Americans living in this country here. So many of them have friends and family and travel there, and they've been living under this constant threat of terror attack. And for Maurice Hinchey to have such a terrible record on Iran, such a terrible record on supporting Israel, is absolutely unacceptable. I hope to, in January, continue the work that I was doing just on the staff level of fighting to root out this anti-Semitic teaching in these camps that are U.S. funded, the glorification of suicide bombers, and to vigorously confront the threat of Iran. Those are my pledges here to the people of this district, to the American people, to Ronald Lauder and Mayor Koch. That's what I'll do in January. I won't be emboldening our adversaries. I won't be turning a blind eye to Islamic fundamentalist terrorism. Ronald, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Jay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you again.
We wish the mayor many more years of health and happiness.
Bye.
Thank you.
This guy looks like a handy, right? I know.